What was your biggest sticking point in game and how did you overcome it?
Mm. Mine was being too much of a stand-up comedian because I know my strengths. I'm very good at being witty in the moment, making people laugh. But sometimes I would take that too far, right? Where it's like it felt like a bit. It felt like everything that I was doing was just to try to make the girl laugh. And there was no like realness to the conversation. So what I found was like doing that, yeah, being funny is great, but also slipping in some realness and almost I feel like a lot of guys get this term, they bend this out of shape, right? Like they don't understand really means it's being vulnerable, which really means like just showing authenticity, I think, right? Where it's like not being afraid to sing the Hillary Duff song that comes on the radio and not trying to be like Mr. Tough Guy all the time, or just letting her know something about like you, right? Being a little more serious in certain moments, if that makes sense. Not being too much of a dancing monkey, as they call it.
Or
I mean, I
Lewis?
just didn't know what to do and say. Of course, in the beginning, when you learn game, everyone that learns game has some like limitations or limiting beliefs or like things out of their childhood that they're insecure about. For example, I was like a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, so I was framed as sex is something bad. So I always had like shame and guilt around sex stuff like that. You can always have that, but then on a game level, I never knew what to do and say. So for me, it was really important to have a certain structure to the approach. Because from RSD, I never learned it. They always like be yourself, energy, all of that stuff, but like what to do and what to say on a physical escalation level, the energy and what to do, that was the biggest sticking point for me. But once I understood that, then I got really good at game.
Also, that women do want to be approached. Like women want to tell their friends that, yeah, they met a guy in the organic banana aisle at the grocery store. Like, yeah, cool, I met a guy on Tinder, but like, yeah, there's some women that watch those
Yeah.
romantic comedies where guys are meeting, they're meeting at airports and they're meeting at wherever, right? They do want to be approached.
That's what I mean, right? So these are all the things that we learn in our childhood. Don't talk to strangers, don't talk too loud, all of the things that your parents tell you. So we get like this program in our childhood that we shouldn't be social, we shouldn't talk to everyone. And then we have that until we need to make a approach or to meet women, right? But if you have these limiting beliefs, then you're just never gonna do it because first comes the mind and then your body, right? Your body is doing the actions what you think. So
Yeah, that whole like stranger danger, like don't talk to people is probably some of the most harmful advice I think that we're
yeah,
given.
Completely
Like, hey,
agree.
obviously, as a little kid, when you're like 4 years old, yeah, like be cautious, don't go into the guy's van with the candy. But like, I think even at a young age, kids, the best way to avoid having the kid go eat the candy is to socialize them, to have them talk to strangers with adult supervision. I think that's just, I mean, for me personally too, that was a huge thing that I struggled with was, yeah, just giving myself that permission, getting out of the comfort zone, being social. Like, I don't know. That was a huge piece for me. Honestly, I
I
was
think
nervous.
just like knocking off the people pleaser act, right? Like there was a
Yeah.
time where it's like I try to like, try to get everybody to like me and say what I thought they wanted to hear. But the reality is like not everybody's gonna like you. You're not gonna vibe with everybody, whatever, right? It's better to get down to that. Like as cliche as it sounds, I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. There's some people that are just not gonna vibe, and that's fine, whatever, on to the next.
I'm so anti-social norms. It's just great. I got so many examples. Like here in Peru, it's super normal for people to once they go to a party. I went to one yesterday, and they just like give cheek kisses to every single woman there and like handshake with every man or whatever. I gave up doing that because there are like parties every week in Peru. I'm like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm just gonna walk in the room and do my fucking thing. I don't say goodbye to people. I just leave. Like maybe I will in some instances, but I'm the kind of person who enters the room, leaves the room. I'll see you whenever I see you. And if there's a group photo, I probably don't give a shit about it. And I'm just going to do something differently. I'm just naturally against social norms. And this was way before anything about game. for me, but it's just this funny thing. Personally, where this question is concerned, I had a problem growing up with speaking. I had a very weak voice, and I still do. If I drink orange juice, it pretty much kills my voice completely. So, and if I talk too much, it kills my voice. But I'm way more able to speak now. We've been going for nearly 3 hours. I did a 4.5 hour interview with Mystery one time, or actually twice now. And I would have never been able to speak for so long years ago because I had naturally such a weak voice because partially because I didn't talk much when I was growing up. But to fix that, all I had to do was just go every Friday and some Saturdays to the nightclub, go to the smoking section on the outside and just have conversations with people pretty much all night. And sometimes I would just like, okay, let me just refresh, go in the dance floor part, and then come back in 5 minutes, and then nice reset. But yeah, after a good few weeks, I finally was able to know what to say, never have a problem with running out of things to say, and my voice became so much stronger because before I would just stumble over my words or be super quiet or just have a super weak voice and just like lose my voice within 10 minutes or something. So that maybe that's not my biggest sticking point from back then, but probably a pretty significant one, at least with a very simple solution. And that solution was taking action
Mhm.
and talking, really practice. And that's it. Any
I think
ever,
it's so important not to pedestalize anybody, right? Whether it's the really hot girl or the captain of the football team when you're in high school, right? Like all too often we make these assumptions about people that we think are successful or really attractive, but we have no idea what's going on in their personal life. Everybody is filled with flaws and insecurities, and for us to go up and not want to talk to someone because we think we're not good enough is not beneficial, right? So it's like the old saying goes, treat them like a celebrity and they'll treat you like a fan, whether it's Leonardo DiCaprio or the guy that's cleaning the toilets at McDonald's, right? Talk to everybody as a person, right? As a fellow
I
human.
would say, especially with women, I mean, there's really no way to know how the girl is going to react to you, what she's going to think of you, until you just go up and make the approach. Just talk to them, see where it goes. Like if the guy's watching do literally nothing else, just literally today, as soon as you can, go find a pretty girl and just say hello and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect and you might fuck up, but just talk to her because you can fuck up, you can make an imperfect approach, and you can still meet the love of your life. You can
Mhm.
still change your entire life with that one conversation, even if it's not perfect.
And I think a lot of guys read too much into the signs, the IOIs, the green lights beforehand, where it's like sometimes a girl will be playing with her hair, batting her eyelashes, and you go over and she's a complete bitch, right? Whereas other times she won't even see you, first of all, and you go up and it's just like she lights up like this, right? So it's like you don't know until you approach. So the more you read into it or overthink before you wait on that sign of indicator of interest or wait on that green light, the more you're going to be overthinking it. You're going to be in your head, and don't try to be perfect, right? It's better to do it and completely fuck up than to not do it, right?
Yeah, I think it
or
helps a lot to have that mindset that you don't want, that you don't need anything from the girl, and that it's completely okay if she dislikes you.
Mhm.
Yep. Love
Yeah,
it.
if you have that frame, then all problems are solved. Seriously, if you never lose your frame, if you know, then
I
that's
had
what
a
I think. I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you, and I don't care if you like me. And then all the girls like me. That's why.
I had a sales mentor who literally used to carry around a Q-tip in his pocket every day, and that was to remind himself to quit taking it personally. Every single day, that man walked around with a Q-tip because of that.
Huh.
It's like, okay, the
what?
rejection, it doesn't fucking
Holy
matter.
shit. Yeah, that's cool. Quit taking it personally. Yeah. So many things out of your control. But also at that on that point too, I also think it's important every time I am talking to somebody or going up and cold approaching, I always think like, okay, how did I do? Was there things that I could have improved on? Could I have shown up with a different energy? Like I like to think, okay, yeah, there's so much out of my control, but what's in my control and how can I show up better the next time?
Yeah. And just like if we're going to be humanist about this, just remember we're talking to humans. You could have some beautiful conversations. It just makes everything worth it. And even if you have some bad ones, like, oh, what are they going to do? I used to be super paranoid. Like years ago, I was in like some hacker circles and real computer type shit. And I was paranoid that people would like someone would come to my house, open the door, and like kill me or something. But then at some point I got realistic and be like, nobody's gonna get on a fucking plane, fly all the way here, come to my house, and open the door and be like, yo, let me fucking kill you because of some argument on the internet or some stupid fucking reason or whatever. So your paranoia, is it from ignorance or is it from experience? Because those are two different things. And
Hmm.
if you're going to be paranoid from you're scared of talking to women, it's probably because you haven't really done it before. So actually immerse yourself in it instead of putting it off forever and ever and ever, because you're going to have beautiful conversations. And there's a guy who was saying this perfectly in the comments right here. Um, Linnell Turner says, talk to a lot of women without an agenda behind it. That is
Yes,
absolutely a great point
huge.
because it's indirect game essentially. If you have no agenda, um, if you're expecting something, you're just come off super fucking weird, like a sales guy
Yeah.
who's not really listening. Someone said that earlier, but incredibly huge difference in how to deal with this. So having no agenda, even though, yeah, you want to get laid, I get it, and stuff like that. But seriously, having no agenda, you're just being social and interacting with humans, just being social. Me and Devin talked about this before. It's so much easier. You're going to have beautiful conversations. That's it.
It's having no agenda with that particular
Yeah.
girl. Like, yes, in general, you have goals, you have aims, but when it comes to that person, that human being in front of you, you just want to make her night better. That's your agenda. You want to enjoy your time on this short time that we have on this planet, and that's your agenda, and that will lead to more results for
Hmm.
sure.
That's one thing, right, that I always teach. You open the conversation, you build attraction, then there's the hook point, and then you figure out logistics. And based on the logistics, you think what you're going to do with the girl. But you should never have an agenda. You should just pre-plan what you want to do, right? But you don't want to think, oh, I want to get the number, I want to take her home, because you don't know any of this until you figure out the logistics or screen the girl if she's even available, right? So that's why I always say you have to earn the next step of the conversation. So you have no agenda when you talk to the girl, and then you earn the next step. You know, you do the opener right, then you do the attraction right, then you do the hook point, you read her signals, then you figure out the logistics, and then based on the logistics, you can decide what you want to do with the girl. If you get her number, if you take her home, if you pull her, whatever.
Mm.
A lot of what we
Slightly
just said.
related, slightly
Go
tangential, but in the same vein of just talking to girls without an agenda, that will also fix a lot of the broken black pill and like toxic red pill ideologies that like, oh, girls just want guys who are 6 feet tall. They just want guys who
Oh,
make this
the
amount of money. Just
ideologies of
fucking
guys
talk to
who aren't
girls.
getting
Just talk.
laid.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all cope, man.
Oh,
Like, how
Yeah.
can you watch
hate
such
it.
videos? To be and stay negative or what? What
Hmm.
the fuck?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Already.
These guys will spend so long just grinding, working on their business, working on getting jacked, and then once they are that jacked guy who has a lot of money, then they're wondering like, well, why aren't the girls kicking in my door? Why aren't the girls parachuting down from the high heavens? Like, they're not coming to me. What's going on here, right? And meanwhile, their social skills take a back seat, and then now they have to go out and build that muscle as well.
Yeah, but that's a cope also, because no one can tell me that he's not intelligent enough, that they know that a girl has to actually like you, your personality, and not not your money or your looks or whatever. That's so stupid, right? I think it's just a massive cope. You know all
But
that
I'm a
all
high value man.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm rich, I have money, and then you're still a retard, bro. You can't even talk to a girl. Like, what's wrong with you?
But I
You know?
got 20,000 Satoshis. I got
Yeah.
0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm cool, man.
And that's
Yeah.
why, yeah, a lot of guys ask me like, how do I make girls approach me? Or like, it's that's what it is. It's just like a lot of guys are afraid of just getting rejected
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But let's be honest, man, it is kind of scary. You see the super hot girl and with her perfect ass and a perfect body, and you want to go up, like every one of us still has like some kind of, oh, shall I approach her? And then you rationalize and you start making excuses, but you just have to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's an
But that is
important point.
literally hardwired into you. Like that's an evolved trait. But like the probably one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was it's okay to be nervous. I was
yeah,
like,
Mm,
and the
oh,
girls
that's
are
right. I
also
can just be
nervous.
nervous and say hello anyways.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but the
always tell
girls are
guys that
nervous
too.
also. The woman's heart is beating more than yours because you are physically stronger. So like it doesn't even make
Mm,
sense to be afraid of a woman. It's so
yeah.
pathetic.
That's a really good point. And I think that just by having a lot of guys watch us, and I still get nervous too, right? It's like I remember hearing this interview with Cowboy Cerrone from the UFC when he was fighting. He was saying that like every time backstage he would go and puke every single time before his fights, but he'd still go out there, he'd still make the walk, and he'd either win or lose. But there was no time where he'd be in his career, he'd be completely confident in doing it, right? We all do have that approach anxiety. It's just how do we respond to it? Do we let the fear control us or do we push through it?
But how do I get over
Actually, my buddy ran into
anxiety?
Mystery in Scottsdale a couple months back, and he's having a conversation with him, and Mystery is like, "Yeah, I'm kind of feeling some approach anxiety, and I'm not sure what's going on." And then 2 minutes later, he's in a conversation with girls. It's like, all right, well, I don't know what's going on. Anyways,
Yeah, I think he was talking about it on our recent episode a few weeks back. Can't remember who, but I'm pretty sure Mystery was saying that himself, exactly how you said it.